Yeah, we out here, nigga. People ask, what's out here? Nigga, we out here, we chill. Stupid niggas. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in the loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you when the mood is right. It's a loop with Sprite, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah.
Minute Maid, how I whip it up. Treat beef like cows in slaughterhouse. That's why we gripping up. Doing dirt on my own. Ain't no bitching up. Counting money talk collection going on in my pocket. Stunting when I buy the bar. Change with Ted Dawson. He brushed me wrong. I have him slipping, grazing in the grass. She got an all you body easy slipping when I smash. She wanna feel the fire, Peebo Bryson. I tell her June to pick up the pieces on this average white band. I see mixed brown dope, it ain't 10. Damn, what he talking about? Money a Muslim before they come and chalk him out. That's what my talk be about. You ain't feeling what I'm saying, ma. Get out the car and walk it out. You saving me gas, me money, and not wasting my fucking time. Can't you see I'm on my fucking grind? Pretending like they not, but they are. So tell them get off mine.
They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in the loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you when the mood is right. It's a loop with Sprite, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah. We out, yeah. We ain't the vicious type, but we got plenty toys, nigga, like we sponsor Fisher Price. My bars and my voice get your sister hype, and I stay in the kitchen cutting raw like a kitchen knife. Make sure the raw pure and you dish it right. Fucking with the lotto, get caught by them flicking lights. I pray I make it every day and every freaking night. And they say that I used to do it wrong, I had to get it right. Stack of bread and that's pesos. Stack of bread just like Lego. I got the toast, so please, bitch, just let go of my ego. Double up for 100 G. Bleed money, that's paper. Put 30 long in my dungarees, increase my daily haters. We out here. Them downstairs, they come out clear. Diamonds shine like a Montclair. And when it's time to ride, we take out chairs. Mopping in the chairless whip. Chopper with a the clip. Bullets at your whole body, and that's what I call intimate. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in the loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you when the mood is right. Mix a loop with Sprite, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah. Yeah, we out here, nigga. People ask, what's out here? Nigga, we out here, we chill. Stupid niggas. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in a loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you, when the mood is right. It's a loop with spray, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green, yeah. Cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green, yeah. We out here.
Minute Maid high, whip it up. Treat beef like cows in slaughterhouse. That's why we gripping up. Doing dirt on my own. Ain't no bitching up. Counting money talk election going on in my pocket. Stunting when I buy the ball. Change with Ted Dawson. He brushed me wrong. I have him slipping, grazing in the grass. She got an all you body easy slipping when I smash. She wanna feel a fire. Peebo Bryson. I tell her Jula pick up the pieces on this average white band. Like see mixed brown dope. It ain't
missing. The tunnel went silent. Then a faint echo came from somewhere deep inside, like someone trying to speak, but too far away. They followed the sound, the camera shaking harder with every step, and then the beam of the phone light landed on him. Mason was sitting in the corner, curled up, completely still. But when the camera got close, he lifted his head, and his eyes were glowing red, staring at the group at a broken, impossible angle. Not human, not alive, just wrong. Until one of them whispered, "Dude, that's not Mason." Not like a person, but like something wearing a person. Everyone screamed. People are still arguing what they saw that night in Seattle. Because if that wasn't Mason, what followed them out of that tunnel?
Australia is such a safe place, but is it though? Because it's just come out that they think there's a serial killer on the loose in Byron Bay said to be worse than Ivan Milat, linked to 67 victims. Oh, and all of these people have been going missing in this area for 10 plus years, but they've only just decided to tell the public. By the way, there's been at least 67 victims, all women who have dropped off the face of the earth and been swept under the rug, who are now linked to this one serial killer, who they still haven't found, by the way. Police say one of the worst serial killers in our history is possibly walking amongst us because they don't know where he is. So that's happening in Australia.
This woman is not as innocent as she looks. 2015 in Nebraska, there was this woman. Her name is Mary Wan. She's known as Little Mary. Mary has a twisted hobby. Neighbors, anyone who crossed her path mysteriously vanished. No one ever suspected her until one day a young boy named Jimmy delivered the groceries to her house. His family searched everywhere for him, but the only clue they found is a single bag of grocery in Mary's doorstep. Jimmy's family called the police, and the police came to Mary and asked Mary whereabouts the missing boy, and Mary offered them tea. The police found nothing in Mary's home, and they moved on. But on one night, a neighbor found something terrifying. Mary was digging a hole at her backyard under the full moon, burying something. The next morning, a new beautiful flower bed appeared on the same spot Mary was digging at night. Guess what? Months later, many people, and Mary was the last person to see them. When the truth came out, it was far worse than anyone ever imagined. You know what Mary did? Mary has been using her victim for fertilizer for her garden. The police and the authorities came to her and she was vanished. What they found under her bed is so terrifying. What they saw on her bed was horrifying. Watch out for the party 2.
Chris and Leanne set out for their hike of the Panamanian jungle on April 1st, 2014. They even brought their hostess family's dog with them, as this was only supposed to be a day hike. So when the dog returned home that night with neither Chris or Leanne, panic set in. It was soon after this that the police in the Netherlands, the girls' home country, got involved. But after 10 days of searching, they still turned up nothing. In fact, it wouldn't be until 10 weeks later that they finally got the first hint that the girls were even in the forest at all. A blue backpack was found along a riverbank. Inside, personal items, $83 in cash, 2 cell phones, and a camera were found. The backpack belonged to Leanne, and it was with this information that police were able to see that the girls had first tried to reach 911 just a few hours into their hike. Leanne's battery died on the 4th, so her phone was never used again. Chris's phone wouldn't make any more attempts to reach 911, but it was repeatedly turned on to search for service. and between April 5th and April 11th, Chris's phone would be turned on multiple times, but whoever was using it was not putting in the right passcode. Over the course of just 4 days, the girls had made 77 separate attempts at reaching 911 but had no service. They then looked at Leanne's camera. It contained photos of their hike on April 1st, suggesting that everything was going as planned. But 7 days later, on April 8th, 90 photos were taken between 1 and 4 a.m., all with the flash of the camera on. It appeared as if they were still in the middle of the jungle. Some of the photos showed the girls' belongings spread out on rocks, and another photo shows the back of Chris's head with what appears to be blood leaking from her temple. The pictures go from picture 508, where everything seems to be perfectly fine, and skips forward to the first night photo at 5:10. These were taken 7 days apart, and nobody seems to have any idea where picture 509 is. It's speculated that this picture is missing on purpose. After all, if it were just deleted from the camera roll, police would still be able to obtain it. More searches for the girls were set out along the riverbank where the backpack was found. Soon after this, they find Chris's shorts neatly placed on a rock. 2 months later, they find a pelvis bone and a boot with the foot still inside. DNA testing confirmed that these belonged to Chris and Leanne. Police questioned locals, tour guides, and other hikers in the area at the time, but nobody could provide any information as to what might have happened, and there was never enough evidence to ever determine a cause of death. To this day, the disappearance and deaths of Chris Kremers and Leanne Froon remains a mystery. If you'd like to hear the full story or are interested in hearing about more unsolved mysteries, please go check out my podcast, Oddities on Elm Street. It's linked in my bio.
The couple seemed like a normal, typical family on the outside.
No, they didn't.
This video has been terrifying TikTok for weeks. It shows a group of friends exploring an abandoned drainage tunnel in Seattle, Washington, a city known for having entire underground sections people barely talk about. They were just recording with their phones, laughing, messing around, until someone suddenly noticed that Mason was missing. The tunnel went silent. Then a faint echo came from somewhere deep inside, like someone trying to speak, but too far away. They followed the sound, the camera shaking harder with every step, and then the beam of the phone light landed on him. Mason was sitting in the corner, curled up, completely still. But when the camera got close, he lifted his head and his eyes were glowing red, staring at the group at a broken, impossible angle. Not human, not alive, just wrong. Until one of them whispered, "Dude, that's not Mason." Not like a person, but like something wearing a person. Everyone screamed. People are still arguing what they saw that night in Seattle. Because if that wasn't Mason, what followed them out of that tunnel?
Australia is such a safe place, but is it though? Because it's just come out that they think there's a serial killer on the loose in Byron Bay said to be worse than Ivan Milat, linked to 67 victims. Oh, and all of these people have been going missing in this area for 10 plus years, but they've only just decided to tell the public. By the way, there's been at least 67 victims, all women who have dropped off the face of the earth and been swept under the rug, who are now linked to this one serial killer, who they still haven't found, by the way. Police say one of the worst serial killers in our history is possibly walking amongst us because they don't know where he is. So that's happening in Australia.
Okay guys, I have a very scary story to tell you about my mum and I when we were in London about 2 months ago. Okay, so we're staying in a really nice hotel. It's 5 stars, beautiful. Anyway, this one night we got home at like 12 a.m. and we got ready for bed, fell asleep, and then I got woken up by mum like nudging me and like whispering something to me, but I sleep with like a sleep mask on. And I must have thought that it was morning because the lights were all on in the room. So I thought it was just daylight. So I took it off and I'm like looking at her and I'm like, what? Like, what do you want? And she's like, Maddie, someone's in our room. And I'm like looking at her. I don't know. I'm still whispering. I'm like looking at her and I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I swear to God, I just saw someone walk into our bathroom. And I was like, what? And I look at the time and it's 3 a.m. and I'm like, what are you talking about? And we're both silent for like 5 seconds, and then we hear something in the bathroom.
Literally being held captive.
And so we jump out of bed and run to the front door. And we're standing by the front door, like we haven't closed the door yet because we don't have a key, and like we've just left everything inside. And it's like quite a big room as well. And the bathroom is right next to the bed, but the lights in the bathroom were off, but we were hearing noises. Anyway, I'm like looking at mum and like our hearts are like racing, and then we couldn't hear anything. Mum was like, maybe I'm hallucinating, or maybe like I dreamt I dreamt it. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm thinking, if this bitch has woke me up 3 a.m. because she's literally dreaming, I'm literally going to kill her. Anyway, we're still by the door. We're silent. Mum goes around the corner to like look where the bed and bathroom is. She can't see anything, but then she hears like a noise. And so she runs back out and we're doing the exact same thing. We're standing there like we have no idea what's going on, but we keep hearing these sounds from the bathroom. So then after a little while, it's my turn to look and I walk around the corner and I run back. I see something and I run back to Mum and I go, Mum, there's a man in our bed. And she goes, are you effing serious? And I said, yep, there is a man in our bed. He's in our bed, tucked in on your side. And Mum's like, I'm going to hold the door. You like run down to reception and get security. So I do. My pajamas are inside out. Like I don't have any shoes on. My hair's like a mess and I run down to reception. So I get to reception and I like tell them what's happened. I'm like, a man has come into our room and he's hopped in our bed, and they're like literally so frazzled and confused. Anyway, they come upstairs with me. They come in the door. Mum and I are like waiting out by the door, so we can't actually see what's happening, but we can hear everything that's happening. And we hear the security guards being like, sir, like trying to wake him up. So he was obviously asleep. Like, sir, like you're in the wrong room. Like, are you staying in this? Oh my God, I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, go to part 2.
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through. I nutted in the condom. Put water in the
freaking out because I'm fully awake. My son's lips are closed. He wakes up. He looks at me and he gives me a kiss and he goes back to sleep. And I keep hearing. So what I did is I grabbed my phone. I did not want to turn on the light. I did not want to go look down the hallway. I didn't want to do none of that. I turn on my phone and I started playing the Bible because I have the Bible app. I clicked on it and I just started playing the Bible really loud and it stopped. Okay, it stopped. So I fall back asleep and I start hearing it again after a couple minutes. And this time I'm freaking out. So here is where everything changes. Okay. And now I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my God. So I hear my mom. Oh, I'm going to run out of time. Okay. So I hear my mom snoring. And she's like, it was my mom snoring the whole time. The relief in my heart, y'all. The relief.
Y'all, I'm a little freaked out right now. So I'm sitting here on the couch about to put a movie on, okay? My daughter is standing in the hallway and she looks in the kitchen. Then me and her make eye contact. Then she looks in the kitchen again. And I said, what? She tells me that she sees a black guy in the kitchen. The thing that comes to mind is stand up and go see what's in the kitchen. Because why are you saying you see a black guy in the kitchen when the only people that are home right now are me and my 3 babies, okay? My husband is at work. I said, what black guy? But as I'm saying, what black guy? I'm getting up to go walk into the kitchen, right? I walk in the kitchen. I walk towards the basement. Nobody in there, right? Walk out the kitchen. I said, Mama, what are you talking about? And she starts like describing what she saw. Like she points out the height of it, and it wasn't that much taller than her. She says it's black. It has big red eyes. The mouth is open. And it has big black hands. So immediately after she says that, I become genuinely curious. I'm like, okay, is this like her making up stuff in her imagination? Because we all know kids have an amazing imagination, okay? So I'm asking her questions like, where'd you see that? She points and says she saw it right next to the refrigerator. Okay, so where she was standing at in the hallway from where she pointed where she saw it at the refrigerator, they would be standing like right across from each other, right? So I go in the kitchen, I take a look around again, just basically letting her know like, okay, mommy is looking around. Mommy's not scared. Like there's nothing to be scared of. I let her know that I don't see nothing in there. She's still talking about it. So I tell her, I'm like, okay, we're not going to talk about it no more. And I immediately start praying over the house. And I tell whatever this thing is, it's not welcome here. We're protected and we're covered by the blood of Jesus Christ himself. This is not that type of household. Okay. This is really not that type of household. I don't do that scary shit. I don't do the ghost shit. I don't do the entity, the demon shit. I don't do none of that. Okay. So after I do that, and I'm feeling better because I prayed and you know, I've told this thing that it's not welcome here. Even if it's just a part of her imagination, I feel better knowing that I did that. And then it shows her that, okay, mommy is not scared. Like, mommy is praying over the house. Like, I'm protected. Everything is safe. Everything is good. Here, sit down, and I'm finna scroll and find a movie like I was doing before. She comes back into the living room and she says, Mom, I don't think that thing is leaving. And I said, why did you say that? And she said, because when I was helping Gio's my son. She was like, when I was helping Gio get his fruit snacks out the pantry, he was standing there again. I don't think he left. Really, as I said that, I stand up because that's my first reaction, to go in there, look again, pray again. But then I'm getting like my hair on my freaking arms start standing up. Like I'm like, it's like everything, like I'm getting chills. Like my heart is starting to race. I'm like, bro, what is going on? Like, it's to the point where I'm starting to feel uncomfortable, but I can't let her know that I feel uncomfortable. Right? I'm like, okay, Mama, show me where you saw him again. Like, show me where you saw him the second time. And she shows me, and apparently this time he was standing next to the basement, like the stairs to get to the basement. So I'm like, okay. And at this point, my curiosity is at an all-time high. Okay, like I'm curious. I want to know everything. Like, so I start asking her questions. I'm like, describe him to me again. Where do you see him at? Do you see him when mommy and daddy are sleeping? Because she says it's a guy. So I'm like, do you see him when mommy and daddy are sleeping? Does he talk? Like, I need to know everything. She says he doesn't talk. Okay. So a couple minutes go by and I ask her again. I'm like, does he talk to you? Like, does he say anything to you? She said, Mom, I already told you he doesn't talk. But then I asked her, like, have you ever seen this thing, like in videos, movies, like something? Have you ever seen it like in front of you, like in a video, a movie, like something? Because then if she tells me that she's seen it in like a video or movie, then I know that it's like, it's not here, you know? She tells me she's never seen it in a video or movie. I promise y'all, I've asked her that question like 6 times because I thought it would make me feel better. But every single time she says, no, she hasn't. She only sees it here. Time goes on, and I'm just sitting there thinking about like, what other questions can I ask her so I can have more of the answers that I'm trying to get. My daughter is a little yapper, okay? She loves to come into the living room. She loves to just start random conversations. So I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like actively thinking about it, but I'm also trying to find a movie again, like I've been trying to do since the beginning of this. She comes in here, she's standing by the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is right here. And she's just like going on and on and on. She's talking about Santa. And then she starts talking about how there's like a black and red present. As soon as she says black and red, I'm automatically tuned in because the thing that she described was black and red. So I'm like, okay, let me listen, because if she's talking, like she's not talking to me. She's just like talking, like just yapping, like just letting her, like just talking, you know? So I'm just like listening. We're like, okay, I want this to be an active conversation. I want to have a conversation with her. So I joined in on a conversation. Out of nowhere, she's like, Mom, do you remember our old place? And I said, yeah. And she said, I like that place better because it's not haunted. Like, do you think this place is haunted? And she was like, it is haunted. And I was like, I'm also going to be telling my husband about this when he gets home, because I am genuinely freaked out, like goosebumps, chills, heart racing. Like, I'm not going to be calm until I tell him, until I get the answers I want, because this is the first time she's ever brought this to me. I'm freaked out, to say the least. Okay.
Oh yeah, one more thing. If y'all see me on Love Island, mind your fucking business, bitch. I'm trying to find love, bitch. Y'all had y'all motherfucking chance.
My neighbor's dog keeps barking, so if you hear it, I'm so sorry. Also, I need to cut the bad habit of biting the skin off of my lips when I get nervous. I don't know how to stop that, okay? Anyway, this girl wrote into Relatos de la Noche because she says she keeps seeing her sister's doppelganger. Am I saying it right? I hope I am. She said that when she first noticed this, she would see her sister go to a room, and then she would see her come from a different way, and she was like, what the hell, I just saw you go in there. And it kind of escalated from there. There was one time where her mom and her and another sister were in the living room, and she got a little cold, so she was gonna go upstairs and get a sweater. When she went up the stairs, she turned on the lights from the stairs only because she was just gonna grab a sweater really quickly. Once she grabs the sweater, she comes out to the hallway, and with the light from the stairs, she can see into her sister's room, and she said that she can clearly see her laying in bed. She mentioned that she did think it was weird that her sister was asleep, but she didn't really give it that much importance and just went back down the stairs with her other sister and mom. Once she went down there, she got chills all over her body because what she saw was that same sister that was asleep in her room on the kitchen table doing her homework. She did tell her mom then and there what she had seen upstairs, but the mom confirmed that the sister had been at the table for a while now with her headphones in, really focused on her homework, so there's no way that she was up there asleep. She said that after her mom told her that, she really didn't want to read too much into it, and she tried to justify it by just telling herself that maybe since only the stairs lights were on, she thought she she saw somebody on her sister's bed. But she also knew that she was kind of trying to lie to herself just so she could feel better and not have a panic about it. However, a few days passed, and this is what the mom experienced. So before I start, I just want to let you know that from the mom's room, she could see 2 of the bedroom doors. And that's for the 2 daughters, the one that's telling us the story and the one that they keep seeing the doppelganger of. And at the end of that, there's also a restroom, which she can see all of this from her room. So the mom says that it was one night where she just couldn't fall asleep and she was tossing and turning. And while she couldn't fall asleep, she saw that the daughter, the doppelganger one, she got out of her room and went into the restroom. At this point, the mom had turned the TV on because she knew she just couldn't fall asleep. And after 15 minutes, she was like, wait, I have not seen her get out of that restroom. So she kind of got a little worried. So the mom goes to the restroom expecting to see her daughter there, but the lights were off. She opens the door and there is nobody in that restroom. So out of curiosity, she's like, I never saw her go back to her room, so let me check. She opens the daughter's bedroom door and the girl is asleep on her bed. The mom was a little freaked out because there is no explanation as to why she saw her daughter go in, never saw her come out, and then her daughter is fast asleep on her bed. So back to the sister, because she's the one that's writing in this story. She says that something else happened, and it was probably the scariest thing that happened and the last time she saw her sister's doppelganger. It was New Year's Day, and the girl that's writing in, her boyfriend invited her entire family to go spend New Year's with his family, and they did. And they didn't end up coming back home until 4 in the morning. She said that when they got home, everybody went to their bedrooms because it was really late and, well, I guess early, but they were all really tired and they were going to go to bed. She said before she went to sleep, she went to the restroom and was washing her face, taking her makeup off, and brushing her teeth. She mentions that she didn't close the door because it's not like she doesn't use the toilet or shower. She was just trying to do everything quickly to go to bed. And that was when she saw her sister pass by and go down the stairs. And she didn't really think anything of it until she realized that her sister never turned the stairs light on. She said that she walked out of the restroom not really thinking about anything, but except for why she didn't turn the lights on. And by the time she got to the top of the stairs, her sister was already at the last step, and she lost sight of her when she went into the living room.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only.
Thought it was weird that she
shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
She mentions that since her and her sister were little, they always accompanied each other downstairs, or like they never like to go down there alone. They always keep each other's company, right? So that's what she thought in that moment. She was like, well, let me go with her because I don't know what she's doing, and maybe she needs my company. She's about to go down the stairs as she hears her sister's voice behind her say, what are you looking at? What are you doing? Her real sister had just came out of the bedroom, her bedroom, asking her what the hell she had been looking at and where is she going. She said that she stayed frozen in that moment because she was just about to go down there. She saw her sister walk down those steps, and her sister had just opened her own bedroom door and said, what are you doing? I wouldn't even know what the fuck to do. She said that she wants to blame it on maybe drinking on New Year's, but no, because she clearly saw her pass by that door, saw her go down the stairs and lost sight of her when she was going to the living room. So she doesn't know what to think about it, but she doesn't think it was her drinking that caused her to see that, By the way, this happened in January of this year, 2024. This is something that happened recently. She says that she hasn't seen it again since, but she doesn't know what to make of it. Is it a spirit or is it a true doppelganger of her sister? But it just freaks her out. I'm not gonna lie, if that was me and my sister had just come out of her bedroom, which one is the real one? At this point, I don't trust anyone, nobody. I'm gonna lock myself in my room. But also the fact that it happened this year and more things could possibly happen other than that. I would never trust my sister again.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only.
Anyway, what do you guys think about it?
Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
Here with the time that it starts. It's from Relatos de la Noche, and of course it is 1,000 times scarier in Spanish.
I truly don't get how someone just disappears in the woods, only for their remains to be found years later, not far from where they went missing. And what's even worse is when no one can figure out how they died or what happened to them. That's what happened to Jared Odado in 1999. 1999. He ran ahead of the group that he was with while hiking in the Roosevelt National Forest, and within 80 feet of his group down the trail, he vanished. No one knew what happened to him until 4 years later when his fractured skull and one of his teeth were found, deep in the mountains, but not horribly far from where he went missing. This is genuinely such a heartbreaking and disturbing case, and despite his remains being found, what exactly happened to him is still unsolved, so let's talk about it. Jared Odado was 3 years old when he mysteriously disappeared and died on October 2nd, 1999. Jared lived with his dad Alan and his older sister Jocelyn in Colorado. His mom and dad divorced, and both Jocelyn and Jared lived with Alan, who primarily raised them. Because of his divorce and being a single dad, Alan decided to join the Christian Singles Network group, which was a local religious club in Colorado. In the months leading up to Jared's disappearance, Alan really relied on this group to help out, and they would all go and do group activities together. So with that being said, this brings us to October 2nd, 1999. Alan and his two kids, Jared and Jocelyn, were staying at the Padre River Resort, which Alan owned along with his brother. Also staying at the resort were members of the Christian Singles Network group, who really wanted to take Jared and Jocelyn to the nearby state fish hatchery in the Roosevelt National Forest. The kids were a little anxious to go, and at first Alan wasn't going to let them, but the group reassured him that they were only going to the fish hatchery and straight back. After much persistence, Alan agreed to let them go while he stayed behind at the resort. He figured they would be okay and nothing bad would happen, but that was not the case. And what happened after this has never really been explained. So off the group went, along with Jared and Jocelyn. There were 11 group members on this excursion to be exact. The weather was nice and everyone was having a good time, so instead of going straight back to the resort like they said, the group changed their minds and decided to hike up the Big South Trail, which was 15 miles west of the resort. Why they changed their plans last minute, no one really knows, but it's assumed the weather was just really nice and they didn't want the day to end just yet. As they started hiking up this trail, the group kind of split into two, one faster and the other slower than the rest. At some point, Jared ran ahead of both of the groups. Why he did this, no one really knows. At some point, he stopped to talk to two nearby fishermen, and according to them, Jared asked them if there were any bears nearby. The encounter seemed normal, and they didn't think much about Jared being alone because about 80 feet down the trail, they could see the Christian Singles Network group. The last time Jared was ever seen alive was by these two fishermen, and he was walking really fast up the trail to some nearby campsites. Not long after this, though, members of the group and Jared's sister heard a loud scream, but they couldn't tell why the scream had occurred because, according to them, some said that it sounded like someone was being attacked, while others said it sounded like a playful scream. Regardless, though, after they heard the scream, Jared vanished. The group then spent the next hour scouring the area looking for him, but they never found him. So they all went back to the resort and told Alan about his disappearance, and the police were quickly called. It's really heartbreaking to picture, but Alan was seen completely just breaking down. He was beating on his own chest and repeatedly yelling, quote, "They lost my baby." End quote. A search and rescue team launched a massive search for Jared, and Alan basically led it. The authorities that were called in all thought that they were going to find Jared. They thought that he was just hiding somewhere, and within a few hours, he would be found. The lead investigator on the case even went back to his car just before midnight that night to take a nap, and he told the other officers to wake him up when they found him. But no one ever came to wake him up, and by morning, Jared still wasn't found. The search for Jared was the largest ever in Larimer County history. They searched every inch of the mountains around where Jared could have possibly been, and even in the Big South River. And as each night passed, Alan was out on the trail in the dead of night yelling for his son, but absolutely no trace of Jared was found. The search was made difficult for a few reasons, though. One being the terrain, as it was a pretty rugged area. And during the search, one of the helicopters from the search and rescue team actually crashed while they were looking for Jared. After they fueled up, the helicopter made its way back over the mountains, but somewhere along the way it stalled out. And after falling 100 feet, it crashed into the Big South Trail. Thankfully, no one died, but everyone was severely injured, so this hindered the investigation. Jared's disappearance also caused a crazy media frenzy, partially because it was like he just vanished into thin air, but also because just 3 years prior, John Benet Ramsey also disappeared and was later found dead under mysterious circumstances in the same state. The two very obviously didn't have anything to do with each other, but now you had two young kids go missing and die under eerie circumstances. So it was just a magnet magnet for media attention. So in this entire search, the only clue that was ever found was some mountain lion tracks right next to Jared's tracks on the trail that day. According to authorities, they found some cougar prints coming down the trail towards Jared's prints. And when the two prints came together, Jared's prints disappeared. Because of this, police suspected that he may have been attacked by a mountain lion. Even so, they kept searching for Jared, but after a while of finding nothing, the search eventually ended and his case went cold. But then, 4 years later, in the summer of 2003, his partial remains were found. It was early May when two hikers in the Padre Canyon area stumbled across some suspicious clothing that appeared to be of a child's. They found a brown fleece sweater, some blue pants, and a pair of white Tarzan kid sneakers, which was exactly what Jared was wearing when he disappeared. Police were quickly called in, and it didn't take them long to find human remains nearby. They found a large piece of fractured human skull and a molar tooth. And after DNA testing, this was confirmed to be Jared's remains. Unfortunately, there weren't enough remains found to be able to determine his cause or manner of death. So as of today, what happened to Jared remains unsolved and undetermined. And although what happened to him remains a mystery, there are a few theories. Theory number one is that Jared was attacked, killed, and then eaten by a mountain lion. Investigators did find mountain lion tracks next to his on the trail, but there are a few things that don't add up about this theory. Experts on big cats in Colorado stated that a mountain lion would have attacked Jared's stomach first with the intent of getting his internal organs. But Jared's sweater was found, and there were no signs of an animal attack on it. It wasn't ripped or shredded or anything like that, and there was no blood on it either. And adding to this mystery is the fact that when Jared's pants were found, they were found inside out, which an animal wouldn't have been able to do. And what's even weirder is that although his remains were found near the Big South Trail, they were found pretty far up it and deeper into the mountains. And Jared's shoes were in pretty decent condition. They had no sign of being dragged by a mountain lion, and according to experts, it would have been nearly impossible for him to have been dragged that deep into the mountains by a lion without them being destroyed. Kind of tacking onto this theory, though, is that maybe he just fell and got hurt, eventually dying of exposure. But this theory has been largely ruled out by authorities. The next big theory is that Jared was abducted and killed by someone on the trail that day, and whoever did it exposed of his clothes, and this would line up with his pants being turned inside out like they were. The only reported damage to them was from rodents and birds who chipped away pieces of them to weave into their nearby nests. A lot of people were interviewed after Jared disappeared, including friends, family, and all members of the Christian Singles Network group. But police found no evidence tying any of them to Jared's disappearance. This doesn't rule out a stranger abduction, though, which is
about you, and it's no one else
so even
like
after
you
all
is
these
what they're
years,
getting.
we still
Positive
don't know
vibes
exactly
only.
what happened to Jared.
Shout out to
After
King
his body
Saul's
was
balls
found,
in the
Alan
building.
kept his remains rather than cremating or burying them. He created a shrine out of them in Jared's old bedroom, which sat untouched exactly as he left it all those years ago. He laid his skull on top of his favorite toys, and he said he did this for religious reasons. Alan went on to say, "I know I will see Jared again one day, and I will ask him, Jared, what happened? And he's going to look at me and say, Dad, does it really matter?" End quote. Alan went on to write a book about his son's disappearance, which I haven't read yet, but I plan to. I feel like I have to mentally prepare myself first because I know that this is going to be really heartbreaking. Sadly, just a couple of months ago, Alan unexpectedly passed away in his home at the age of 67. I hope that he is finally reunited with Jared and that Jared's sister can find some peace in what has happened. But it's now been 26 years, and whatever happened to Jared in those mountains remains a mystery. There's a really strange missing persons case happening right now out of Utah. Let's talk about it. This is 21-year-old Elizabeth Green. She was last seen walking to work along a dirt road in Callio, Utah, which is an extremely remote area in northern Snake Valley. Like, there really isn't much out there, and the area she went missing is roughly 3 hours from any major city. Elizabeth had just started a new job at a remote ranch, and she was walking there that day, but never made it, and it's almost like she vanished into thin air. She was reported missing to the police later that day, and they began looking for her right away. Authorities have searched the area around her home and the ranch that she was going to work at, including the route that she would have taken to get there. But no trace of Elizabeth has been found. Police searched the ranch, which has not been publicly named, just one day after Elizabeth was reported missing, but according to them, they didn't find anything suspicious. The rancher said that she never made it to the ranch that day and that he had no contact with her, so it's left authorities wondering what truly happened to her that day. Police have tried pinging her phone, but they aren't able to get a connection, and they've searched all of her electronic devices, but they've all turned up nothing. There's been no activity on her social media accounts since that day either. Her mom thinks that Elizabeth could have possibly been picked up that day, but she just doesn't know by who. There's also a possibility that she arranged to have someone pick her up, but they didn't show, which could have led to Elizabeth trying to walk through the remote desert by herself. According to her family, she does suffer from some mental health issues and has ran away before, but no matter what, she's always stayed in contact with her family and she's always come back within a day. She would never just up and leave like this. Just based on the circumstances, police believe that she's in immediate danger. Like I mentioned before, Callao is extremely remote and so far away from any major city. So the fact that she just mysteriously disappeared and left behind no trace in a matter of hours is just terrifying. It's now been over a month and Elizabeth is still missing. With the summer weather coming up, we need to find out what really happened to her that day. These are some of her characteristics and what she was last seen wearing. If you have any information about this case, please contact the number on the screen.
The night I started believing in the paranormal. Hi, y'all. I'm watching the most recent podcast and heard y'all were looking for some spooky ghost stories. And I've got one that still creeps me out to this day. Sorry in advance for the long post, but I want to get all the details in. LOL. Now, just to preface, this story happened a few years ago when I was still in high school. I grew up in a small town, so it was often hard for us young, angsty teens to find things to do. Me, now 21 female, and my best friend, also 21 female, our usual Friday night consisted of driving around aimlessly trying to find something to do. This night, it was me, my best friend, who I'll call Cindy, Cindy's boyfriend, Aaron, and Aaron's best friend, Zach. Now, on to the story. We were doing our usual routine of driving around the nearby big city when Aaron decided to call up his other friend who lived nearby. Now, this friend I'd never met before, but Aaron said he lived in this small mountain town close to where we were driving. I'd never heard of this town, but it is known for its history in being an old copper mining town. The friend didn't answer, but we decided to drive up that way anyways, as the friend had a cool car Aaron and Zach wanted to look at. Big car guys. We start driving up there, and mind you, it's close to 2 a.m. at this point. We had driven on dark roads throughout this entire night, and the vibes were all good. We're driving on this dark, barren road when we pass under a bridge. Immediately, I become overwhelmed by this eerie feeling. Something just felt off. I thought it was just me experiencing this, as everyone else was talking and joking about, so I brushed it off. By the time we get up to the town, Cindy was passed out in the passenger seat. I was sat behind Cindy, and Zach was sat behind Aaron, who was driving. The second we start to see houses, we all collectively agree that something about this town was just off. The streets looked impeccably clean and polished, the sidewalks all completely smooth, as if the concrete had just been laid. I had made an offhand comment about how it felt like we were transported to another time. The boys in the car collectively agreed with me, all of us acknowledging how it felt like we had passed through a portal straight to the 1930s. We continued on the drive, making jokes in an attempt to lighten the strange atmosphere we had stumbled upon. At this point, I chalked it up to the dark night and the fact that the whole town was likely asleep. Then we see the park. Now here's the thing about this park. It wasn't a full-on park, literally just a plot of grass with huge ass trees. The road allowed you to loop completely around the park, and it was absolutely empty when we first arrived. Aaron makes a comment about the park, saying he had taken pictures of his car in it before. Then he decides to drive around the park and show us where the photos were taken. As we begin the loop around this park, I feel this creepy feeling begin to intensify. The best way to describe it is it was like a heavy weight pushing down on the air in the car. At this point, it's close to summer, so all the windows are down as we're cruising along. Once we get close to the end of the loop, I spot a couple of deer outside my window. This was the first and only sign of life we saw the entire time we were there. No people, no other animals, no cars, just 3 deer. Aaron pulls over so we can get a better look at them and then decides to call his friend again to see if he would answer. At this point, I'm watching these deer and trying to distract myself from this seemingly unwarranted anxiety I was feeling. While Aaron was on the phone, Cindy was still passed out, and Zach is staring out his open window, which faced the park. Not long into us being parked here, does Zach start to yell and frantically try to roll up his window. Both Aaron and I were shocked by Zach's sudden screaming, and both go look at whatever had freaked Zach out so much. When I look out Zach's window, I saw something that I still cannot explain to this day. There, sitting beside one of the large trees, was a pure white figure. So white, it looked like it was glowing. I got a pretty good glimpse at this figure, and it almost seemed blurry, but you could clearly make out the shape of a hooded person. It appeared to be kneeling with its head bowed, almost like it was praying. At this point, Zach is screaming for Aaron to get us the fuck out of there. All I could do was freeze in fear and stare at this figure sat alone in the park.
Did anyone else see that story of that lady on TikTok? Wait, let me explain. So this lady said that she's been married for 8 years and that her husband is deployed overseas all the way in Germany. She says that she barely sees her husband. He comes home like 2 or 3 times a year. And when he's home, he only stays for about 2 or 3 weeks. So for the last 2 years, she says she's been feeling real lonely and she decided to go out and cheat on her husband. She said that she went and she had a one-night stand, and this one-night stand was so good that it turned into an every-night stand. And she recently found out she's pregnant. And clearly this is not her husband's because her husband's overseas, so the man that she's been sleeping with got her pregnant. So now, her and this dude have been messing with each other for 2 years, back and forth. Mind you, she has 3 kids with her husband. She said at first they were getting hotels and stuff, to keep her anonymous. But then, after 2 years, she got a little comfortable and now she's allowed to go to his house. He's still not allowed to come to hers because, she got kids and he don't got no kids. Usually she goes over there and, she's not really paying attention to what's in her house because she has no real feelings for this man. She just, got lonely. But one day as she's walking in, she decides to pay a little bit close attention to the pictures on his wall. And as she's looking over the pictures on her wall, guess who she sees? Her husband. So now she's freaking out because she's like, how is a picture of my husband and him in this frame on the wall? Of course, she starts panicking. She has to get to the bottom of this, but she doesn't know how to bring it up without saying, like, how do you know this? Because this is my husband. So after a while, she decides, like, I'm just going to ask around, like, oh, who's this? Oh, that's my grandma. Oh, who that? That's my uncle. So who is this? Y'all would never believe what the man said. The man gonna say, oh, that's my brother. She was thinking like, there's no way because she's been married to him for 8 years and he's never been in none of the family functions. Like she never even heard of her husband speak of him. So she asked, oh, is this from your dad's side? He said, yes, from my dad's side. So that makes sense because, the dad got a whole bunch of other kids. So it makes sense to why, she never really seen him. But y'all, the man she's been sleeping with 2 years is her husband's brother. But the story doesn't stop there. So he's like, yeah, that's my brother. I'm real close with him. She's all confused. Like, He starts pulling out pictures. He pulls out a picture. He said, yeah. So she's like, oh, so is he married? He was like, yeah, he is. To his wife in Germany. Yeah, they got 2 kids over there. He has a nice little family in Germany. Y'all, why the man start pulling up pictures of her husband with his wife, his new wife in Germany, and their kids? Mind you, she's pregnant by this man, who she just found out is her husband's brother. She also just found out that her husband got a whole family in Germany. So now she don't know what to do because she's been cheating on her husband. Her husband clearly has been cheating on her.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only.
What would y'all do?
Shout out to King Saul's ball.
Sauce the boss, yo.
How does a grown man disappear after having abdominal surgery just to be found in the hospital ceiling nearly 2 weeks later? And is it coincidence that another man in a similar situation also ended up in the ceiling of a hospital in the same country? When 61-year-old Pactick went in for surgery at the Stellenbosch Hospital, he was understandably nervous about this procedure. He underwent the abdominal surgery on October 5th, 2017, and everything went just as expected. However, during his recovery, his nurse left the room for what she claimed was mere seconds in order to grab some fresh linens. But as she returned to the room, Pactick was nowhere to be found. The nurse frantically searched for her patient, positive that he couldn't have gotten far. Because of the seriousness of his surgery, he was bedridden, left almost completely unable to move independently. She called his family to ask if he had somehow returned home, sending his family into a panic. His family rushed to the hospital, searching the hospital grounds themselves before reporting him missing. The initial search for Pactick was unsuccessful. It was as if he had just vanished into thin air, but nobody could explain how. 13 days later, as a construction crew worked on hospital renovations, they discovered Tedatiki's body in an isolated area of the hospital ceiling. An area that's incredibly difficult to reach, even for a completely capable person, much less for somebody healing from major abdominal surgery, or for somebody attempting to lift a grown man above their heads by themselves. Police reported that Tedatiki's autopsies somehow pointed to natural causes of death, but seemingly never handed that report over. His family showed a lack of faith in the investigation, saying that they were told that nothing more could be done in his case, and it remains that way to this day. Similarly, just 2 years later, on May 10, 2019, a 53-year-old construction worker named Sandil was admitted to the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Hospital. Sandil had been helping a neighbor with a house repair when a wall collapsed, breaking his right femur. After arriving at the hospital and being assessed, Sandil's doctor suggested a transfer to a different hospital for treatment. But before the transfer could take place, Sandil had disappeared. His nurse went to check in on him and found him missing. The staff immediately began searching for him and subsequently reported him missing when they were unable to locate him. Weeks later, hospital staff would begin complaining about what they called an unbearable stench. Shortly after, a staff member would find a leak dripping down from the ceiling into the hospital storeroom. On May 25th, Sandil's decomposing body would be discovered in the hospital's ceiling. How did he get in the ceiling after breaking the biggest bone in his body? Sandil's family demanded answers, reporting that they were initially denied the ability to view his body. In both cases, the men had conditions that would prevent them from moving comfortably. How were they able to walk around freely in their state without staff or hospital visitors noticing? Not to mention the effort it would take for them to somehow climb up into the
My fault. The beach is glassing. The beach is beating. We got some shit to unbox because you know we have new decks on the way. Wait, new waves for the play bay. Tell them to go play with their mother. Coño, pero yo.
My life, son.
Sauce the boss. It's his birthday. Everybody wish him happy birthday.
Oh, this is big right here, y'all. Everybody wish Sauce, the official boss, happy birthday, man. Let's go. Let's see it in the timeline. I like the.
You know, it's a beautiful day.
I like the.
If you're feeling down, just
I like the wish.
Get you a bag
Sauce.
of that. And just light up. Can't fire Mr. Headrod. Can't greet him with two, only the third eye. Killer vision, yes, ER in hospital.
Let me on
the track. Accident to opera O's. Conscious, unconscious. Flow riding on my train. Denzel, Chris Pine,
I like how that sounds.
Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Therefore, I'm flying off the tracks. Extraterrestrial blunt, I got it on my lap. When I land, soul train line, hop on my dad. They fear what they don't understand. I forgive them cause they don't really know no better. Hope let them walk on water. I'm dancing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with a polo sweater. How bad do you want success? I was holding my breath unconsciously. The conscious me woke up and came up for air. I turned 1-3-6 to the one but ain't. Dancing with child, I guarantee them in the dreams. Fireman, Mr. Clean, Dirt.